Are you ready? Like, really ready to talk about the Final Fantasy X-2 ending? I don't know if I'm ready. This is a rant video, so it's kind of unstructured. You'll have to just bear with me on this. So I will start from the beginning, the Final Fantasy X-2 journey here. I haven't played Final Fantasy X-2 all the way to the end since I was a teenager, which was a long time ago, since the mid-2000s. I hated the game originally. Well, actually, I had a love-hate relationship with the game originally. I played 1,000 Words on repeat, and I was very ashamed and would never tell anyone about that. And I would never, ever admit that I actually found the gameplay to be kind of fun. But the story, it was just wrong, and I played the game for the story. But after years and after maturing, I came to Final Fantasy X-2 with fresh eyes. I could appreciate the game as a product. I since learned that Square became Square Enix. The company had gone through a restructuring. They were not even intending to make a sequel to Final Fantasy X. They had half the staff. They made the game in just 1 year. From that perspective, I should think it's a miracle that there is a playable game at all. You can tell that the game is rushed. They have reused assets everywhere. With my newer, fresher, more adult, mature eyes, I can see that they had some good ideas in there. Instead of there being a big monster, instead of going into the belly of the beast, we have politics. We have people fighting with each other. These are all interesting ideas. But with the open world framework that we have, we're doing a lot of miscellaneous stuff that has nothing to do with the story. And so, in the end, it's just kind of patchwork together this very thin story compared to this massive 12-hour cutscene epic that was Final Fantasy X. So really, I shouldn't compare the two. They're different games developed under different circumstances. And, should give the game some leeway. I mean, we live in a reality. We live in where there's constraints. And Final Fantasy X just happens to be, in my opinion, a masterpiece. New Yevon and Youth League. That was interesting. What do you do with a fallen theocracy? How do you build it up again? How do you get people to trust you? Vegnagun feels like it's a thing that was thrown in, almost like if it was a blockbuster movie and the studio gave an executive order that you need to have another sin. Vegnagun feels like that other sin. The third act is the real problem in the game. All of the end is the problem. So I was just kind of going, okay, for most of this game. I'm enjoying the gameplay. I'm doing the 100%, so it's really hard to focus on the story when you're doing a bunch of different things. And then this happened. Yuna gives a speech. This speech happens when they're about to fight Vegnagun. Nuge has an idea to defeat Vegnagun. So he says, essentially, so you go and shoot Barrel Eye, and then the soul of Shuyin Titus thing is gonna go fly into me, because clearly it's gonna want me because I'm Nuge, and then you shoot me. Okay, so I'm thinking about this and I'm going, how does this plan make any sense? So we shoot Barrel Eye and then it's gonna go to Nuge, but why? And then we shoot Nuge. It's like, what's gonna happen after you shoot Nuge? Where will Shuyin go from there? I think that Shuyin would just continue to be hopping bodies infinitely. Yuna says the plan is stupid. And I think, yeah, I agree. The plan is really dumb. But then she goes on to say that she regretted the events of Final Fantasy X. She wanted no compromises. She wanted to be able to save Titus, and she implies that there are other people that should be alive right now. I think that there's even a voice of Jet. It sounded like Jet saying, "I'm sorry," or something like that. But I think about this and I think, how ridiculously selfish and immature is that? She brought the eternal calm. That was way more than what she bargained for. The Yuna in Final Fantasy X was willing to sacrifice herself. She also implies that she regrets sacrificing the Aeons. And the Aeons wanted to go away. The Faith were begging Yuna to stop dreaming. She helped an entire race get accepted in this new world. Yuna has done so much good through this action. How can she actually think, oh, what I did was wrong? Who wrote this? After thinking about this for a while, I think I realized why they wrote this scene. Yuna's scene parallels a similar scene that's in Final Fantasy X. Yuna gives a speech right before they fight Yunalesca. At that moment, Yuna decides that she does not want to give the people false hope. She wants to give the real calm to Spira. Yuna also gives a speech where she does not want to make compromises. That, thematically, is the same thing that Yuna's saying. Let's not make a compromise. Yuna is going up against Vegnagun, and at this point, Vegnagun is being propped up as another sin. There are a lot of problems with this. One is that Nuge's plan is just stupid, whereas the dilemma with Yunalesca, those are real stakes. Yuna is deciding whether she's going to sacrifice herself for a temporary calm and keep that cycle going, or she's going to give that up and then maybe not even be able to find another solution to this problem. But at the end of Yuna's speech with Nuge saying, "Your plan's stupid," you know what she does say? The powerful, smart Yuna decides to do with her big brain is she decides to go, oh, how about we just attack Vegnagun head on? Maybe that's a better plan. And then they do, and then they win. But in Final Fantasy II, when this happened, they didn't have a plan. Sin was so powerful they had no idea how to defeat him, and they had to do research, and they had to think very hard. Also, the scene with Yunalesca, that happens not at the very end of the game. They're trying to cram so much. They're trying to cram the last act of Final Fantasy X with a similar model into a much shorter span of time. Then there is another problematic scene right at the end. After they defeat Vegnagun, the three leaders, not Yuna, decide to give a speech in that same Blitzball Stadium to all of the people of Spira saying Vegnagun is dead. The calm will continue. Was the calm ever in danger? Did anyone even know about Vegnagun? I thought Vegnagun was a secret. I did not think people were even worried about Vegnagun. Sin killed people all the time. I don't think Vegnagun even came out and killed a single person. Vegnagun was just a threat. So in the last act, they were just trying to make Vegnagun and Sin the same thing. On top of that, those three characters giving a speech about Sin or whatever, I don't care. Does anyone care about Nuge and Barreleye and Gipple? And why is Gipple even there? You know what? I guess I just didn't care about the story enough. There is one last thing to point out. Another theme in Final Fantasy X-2 is, how about everyone just get along? Like, we're just gonna sing and dance, and then everyone is going to remember that they're all human and should hug each other and be reunited. But the issues with New Yevon are really serious. People in New Yevon are still practicing their religion. They're still doing the salute or the prayers. This is a real issue that can't just be overcome by hugs. These are serious societal issues that tend to result in war. One ultimately has to dominate the other and become the dominant culture. There is no way Yuna can dance, and there's no way that Nuge and Gipple and whoever can give a speech and make everyone hug at the end. After thinking about this ending, I realize that it just seems rushed. They were trying to cram a Final Fantasy X sequel, ending onto the Final Fantasy X-2. It felt just first draft. It felt like they needed more time. And at the end of the day, I think that I can appreciate that they just made a whole game. And that the game is pretty fun to play. By the way, I'm still streaming it. I'm doing the New Game Plus to finally get the 100%. So join me in my stream if you're interested. I would love for you to comment your own thoughts about the Final Fantasy X-2 ending. I know that it is coming up on 20 years since this game came out, but I'm sure that people are still going to rediscover this game and finally get to that point of having loved Final Fantasy X and feeling willing to give Final Fantasy X-2 a chance. I hope this video was in some way entertaining. And I hope to see you again sometime. So thanks for watching, and bye!